Hello everyone, I am Gary Supreme. I am having to record this again because I found out my mic was muted, so you're probably going to get a shorter version of what I was doing. And there are definitely two stories though that do need to be focused on. And, one is definitively about WWE, and one is more being spread around the entire wrestling community. So I'm going to start with the one that's specifically WWE oriented, and then I'm going to get into the bigger story at the end. So WWE has already failed to keep crowds safe from COVID-19 or C-19. I already said it. Here's how. It's from CBR.com. Okay, so basically news broke earlier this week during the Raw taping that someone else had gotten the C-19. So, and others found out when the rest of us found out on social media. They're not really happy about that. I think there are two parts of this, though, that I should read. At the point during the broadcast, the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, were shown on camera bypassing the protective plexiglass to dance with the people in the audience. Some of the PC trainees, or some were PC trainees, others were friends and family of WWE employees who had been allowed to sit in the crowd. It marked the first time WWE let people sit in for a broadcast since the pandemic began, and a possible turning point for the company that now seems to have backfired completely following the news of a talent testing positive. Now, Florida has seen a recent spike in C-19 cases. This isn't just me blowing smoke. This is the truth. And the PC is in Florida. So, put two and two together, it's not a good combination. The other part of this article that's probably the most important, WWE talent, speaking anonymously, had already voiced their disapproval with WWE's decision to continue tapings and live shows amid the pandemic following a positive test result back in April. And I think we all remember that as well. That was less than 2.5 months ago. So the fact that it was revealed Tuesday that someone else tested positive on the same day the company first allowed non-employees to sit in for tapings will not sit well with those same people. Nor will the rumors, and I again stress rumors, that WWE had deliberately barred those fans from wearing face masks at the event because it didn't want masks seen on camera, with WWE executive Kevin Dunn reportedly telling attendees, if you want to wear a mask, then you are not a fan. I have heard this from so many people. This is not looking bueno for Kevin Dunn. I don't know. I don't think anything's going to happen to him because I think he's one of those guys that's uber-de-duber protected in that company. PW Insider's Mike Johnson spoke with several members of the WWE roster who said they were concerned with the latest test result and worried they would eventually contract the virus and possibly spread it to their family members. One person specifically told them that this is exactly why Roman Reigns has stepped away from in-ring action. The WWE champion has not been seen on television since the start of February. Folks, this is a pretty easy one to judge for yourself. They got sloppy. They wanted more fans there. They wanted fanfare. And, you know, it just gets uglier from here. So, this is the ironic part about this. WWE has temporarily halted production to conduct C-19 testing. It said that following the test results, the company plans to proceed with its normal television production schedule. Unlike its broadcast rival AEW, WWE never required talent to undergo virus testing. Employees previously were only required to have their temperature checked and monitored for symptoms, meaning that from word go, AEW has been doing the gold digging swab. They've been testing people, whereas WWE has just been taking temperatures. Wow. I mean, the rest of this is just a statement from Triple H. It's not a big thing. And then there's several members of the roster told PWI Insider that it felt the company needed to do more to communicate what's going on to protect its employees. And the past few days shouldn't have come as a shock to talent. There should have been more transparency and willingness to pump the brakes on the added fans, and the situation in Florida where WWE is taping its shows should serve as proof of what happens when you rush into things in the wake of the virus. I don't really see anything here that seems all that disingenuous. So it happened, and they should not have had friends and family in the crowd. They should not have sat there and added people without, without them actually being tested. Not to mention the fact that the big difference between AEW and WWE and where they're taping, especially for the later spring months, after AEW had kind of put, the end of January, February, and March kind of in the can. I think they had like 9, 10 episodes. When they first started showing tapings, it was in an open venue, Daly's Place, which I think on the side of Jaguar Stadium. This open venue, so air flows in and out of that place. The Performance Center has a bunch of fans and recirculating air, which means you're just recirculating the same air of the people that have the virus. I'm not even someone who studies, I don't even know what it's called, but the science of germs and viruses and that kind of stuff. But really? You can't figure that out? You couldn't figure that, Because, I mean, they say in this article, and one of the parts I didn't read, that they gave them social distancing. Obviously, it wasn't enough if now you have not one but two cases that have come out of the performance center, one of which is one of the talents that you were training. I guess they haven't shown up on NXT, but they are an NXT developmental talent. I don't know what else to tell you on that one. If I was Ryback, I'd be slapping myself on the head right now saying stupid, because that's essentially what this is. Like, come on, guys. Do you care about your superstars, or do you care about profit? Because if you care about profit, what's going to happen is that rubber band eventually is going to snap back. And it's not going to be good what happens with the WWE when it snaps back, because you'll be back to 0 people in the audience. And I don't think anyone wants that. I don't think you guys want that. And I don't think any of the fans want it. So I would just say don't do it. And don't bring in outside friends and family. I know it's a rush to want to reopen everything, but this is a pandemic. This is not a stay at a hotel. It's going to be around for a while. It's going to be like that, annoying guy that's staying at your house that you just can't wait to leave, but then asks to stay a few more days. That's what this C-19 is. I mean, could potentially be here until next spring. So get ready for the ride on that one. Now, this next story is absolutely more serious, and I want to, stress the word serious here, because I think I am not, nor have I ever been, someone that is okay with any of this. And I saw this. This has been dumping out over the last 72 to 96 hours. This is the speaking out hashtag. So I saw this article on Sports Illustrated, and I'm going to read it to you verbatim. And I want you to know that I am not taking sides here. I'm not. I'm not taking the wrestler's side. I am not taking the people or the accuser's side. And there's a reason for that. Number one, I have a great respect for the Me Too movement and what it's been able to do for women out there that have not had a voice. The other side of this is that we saw both Enzo Amore and Rick Swann accused, fired from WWE, only to find out that they were innocent the whole time. Were they rehired? No. In fact, Enzo hasn't had a wrestling job since. Rick Swann is an Impact, which I'm glad, but again, it changed the entire course of their careers. So this is very serious. And these are very serious allegations. And I want to stress that word heavily. Allegations. So I will read to you this. Growing movement on social media, shedding light on sexual, physical, and emotional abuse inflicted by and upon members of the industry. Upon the hashtag speaking out on Twitter, many prominent female wrestlers are commending those who have come forward to share their experiences. Kelly Klein, For each time I sought help or support and was ignored. For each time I told the truth and was met with threats of retaliation. For each liar who got ahead of the narrative. For each person who saved from abuse, we found a way to raise our voices together. Hashtag speaking out. This is from the 18th of June. It was put out at 8:39 p.m. and has 2,229 likes. The Bunny from All Elite Wrestling. For anyone wondering why it's so hard for women to speak out, they run the risk of not getting booked again, being accused of lying, and the situation being downplayed and being made to look crazy, etc., etc. Hashtag speaking out. This got 5,107 likes and was put out at 6:29 a.m. on June 19th. Ty Conti. They'll make you feel like it's your fault, that you were looking for the abuse. They'll say it's because the clothes you wear, the pictures you post, the way you talk, the nationality you have. Fuck them, in all caps. I hope now y'all understand and change for the better. Hashtag speaking out. Got 3,340 likes and was put out at 6:11 a.m. on June 19th. Kylie Ray. This, in all caps, this amount of untold stories typed and then deleted, as I could imagine far so many others as well. It's okay to not be ready. So much love and respect for those who are. Hashtag speaking out. So there have been a lot of people. So let's go over the rest of this article. At least 3 male WWE wrestlers have also been accused of misconduct against women. Jordan Devlin, who wrestles for WWE's NXT UK brand and was WWE's Cruiserweight Champion until travel issues related to the pandemic forced him to drop the belt. Devlin was accused of physical abuse by a woman who shared photos of her bruised body. We take any allegations of this nature very seriously and are looking into the matter, WWE said in a statement. Candy Cartwright, an independent wrestler, accused WWE's Matt Riddle of pressuring her into performing sexual acts while in a van with other wrestlers in 2018. Riddle, in a Twitter post, direct messages to a British YouTuber whom he previously had been interviewed by, denied the allegations and accused Cartwright of harassing him. Riddle said his lawyer and WWE were exploring the possibility of legal actions against Cartwright. WWE's statement on his allegations against Riddle was identical to the one issued about Devlin. A third WWE wrestler was accused by a woman on Twitter of making repeatedly unwanted sexual advances at a 2014 New Year's Eve party. Longtime wrestling personality Jim Cornette and his wife Stacy are also accused of acting inappropriately with wrestlers. Independent wrestler Phil Early, which I believe that's the way it's stated, alleged that when Cornette was in charge of Ohio Valley Wrestling, then a developmental territory for WWE, novice wrestlers were pressured into performing sexual acts with Stacy. many times with Cornette watching. In exchange for opportunities in OVW, several former Ohio Valley Wrestling performers backed up Early's allegation. In fact, during an argument with Cornette on Twitter back in March, so that's like 3 months ago, All Elite Wrestling's Joey Janela alluded to a hot tub party, quote unquote, like the ones you and your wife used to have with the OVW boys. You know, I don't want to take sides here, but if Jim Cornette is accused of this and he's found guilty, I think after the NWA stuff and after all the other things that have happened with what he said about, Becky Lynch, I think I'm done with Jim Cornette if that's true. So then, so the majority of wrestlers being accused of misconduct by women using the hashtag speaking out hashtag work in the United Kingdom. On Wednesday, prominent independent wrestler David Starr, real name Max Bartsky, an American who was a fixture in the British wrestling scene, was accused of sexual abuse by a woman who he had been in a relationship with. Several promotions cut ties with Starr after these allegations. So, and it doesn't even end there, folks. So, professional wrestling is facing a scary reckoning, and this is also a follow-up article today from, of course, Sports Illustrated. The Speaking Out hashtag has revealed abhorrent allegations of sexual and physical abuse within professional wrestling. Over the last 3 days, the allegations have exposed an ugly, dark side of the business. Following allegations of sexual abuse, WWE announced the release of Jack Gallagher on Friday evening. He had been a part of WWE's Cruiserweight division since 2016. So he's the first one to get the axe. Now, we go on to NWA. David Lagana resigned from his position as NWA's vice president on Friday after allegations of sexual misconduct surfaced. Again, I say allegations. I want to stress that word very heavily, because these are just that, allegations. No one's gone to court, and no one has been given a chance to speak out. They're just allegations. AEW also announced that wrestler James McCarran, known on screen as Jimmy Havoc, will receive treatment for mental health and substance abuse issues. McCarran was also accused of sexual and mental abuse, and AEW added that his status with the company will be readdressed when he gets out of rehab. First of all, props to AEW for getting him into rehab. That is something that I can't speak highly enough of AEW for being willing to do. What I worry about is, what's going to happen next. So, let's see. Then we've got, a retelling of the Candy Cartwright story. And this is actually a quote. I'm posting this because I have been so sad for so long. I didn't realize that what he did was not okay. I realize now, reading these other brave women's stories, that I can't be afraid anymore, and I have to #speak out. This got 2,077 likes, was posted at 1:32 a.m. on June 19th. So, yeah, I mean, people are speaking up. And, wherever the chips fall is where the chips are going to fall on this. There have been multiple allegations also made against star Patrick Clark, better known as Velveteen Dream, for sending sexual messages to minors. Clark has not responded to those allegations. WWE released an official statement on Friday regarding the recent allegations against their talent, stating individuals are responsible for their own personal actions. WWE has a zero-tolerance policy for matters involving domestic abuse, child abuse, and sexual assault. Upon for such misconduct, a WWE talent will be immediately suspended. Upon conviction for such misconduct, a WWE talent will immediately be terminated. So they're taking this fairly seriously. So WWE's ability to fine, suspend, or terminate a WWE talent will not be, however, limited or compromised in any matter in the event of incontrovertible evidence such as illegal misconduct presented to WWE. In other words, once WWE has enough proof, they're going to fire you. Now, do I think everyone here... now, I don't even think it matters whether I think anyone here is guilty or not guilty. I mean, I'm going to be honest. The other funny thing about this is that we have seen a response from Jim Cornette. Let me see if I can find it right now, which, give me just a moment here. So this is an interesting... Oh yeah, and here's another one that, before I get to Cornette. So, Impact Wrestling star Joey Ryan is the latest wrestler named in the growing list of sexual assault allegations. Joey Ryan is accused of sexual misconduct from 2 women. You can check out the tweets below from the accusers. So I'm going to read this off. It is what it is. It's an allegation. This is not, let's hang them. So the tweet reads, the first legit independent wrestling show I went to was GCW, just being honest. I was overwhelmed and didn't know what to expect. I was mainly excited to see Effie, and for that reason I had my pride scarf on. And it was already scary at that because I didn't know how fans would perceive me. The fans were amazing, 2 wrestlers were not. I went to the merch table and David Starr and Joey Ryan were next to each other with the merch. I went to them looking at the merch, not knowing what to buy. I settled on a We the Independent beanie and asked them for a picture. They came up to me and the first thing Joey did was look at my pride scarf and say, "Do you want to take a picture of you holding my dick, or would that turn you on?" It threw me off, but I brushed it off as just cis humor and laughed. Joey said, "Or do you want to do it to me?" and tried to grope me with his hand. I backed up in hesitation, still laughing, and bumped into David, who was behind me, and he said, "Joey, maybe he's a bottom," and he tried to slap my ass. I awkwardly stood aside as the fan took the picture. I told the fan to delete it as I didn't want that image existing to come up in my mind ever again. That experience still exists in my mind and might not go away ever. I was already questioning my sexuality as it is. That just made me feel like being gay pansexual wasn't okay. I didn't even think of it as bad until after Chris Bay put an arm around me to get my attention and said, "Hey man, are you okay?" I don't even know if he remembers that happening, but thank you. Thank you, Effie, for also helping me with sexuality after that encounter and making me forget the experience for that time being and make me proud to don the rainbow. Wow. I mean, again, I'm not here to hang people. This is one person's account. This is a Twitter message, but does not have, well, it has 820 likes, but not a timestamp. So a lot of these are Twitter messages about just experiences that people have had within the business, and there's a lot of them. There is a lot of them. So but yeah, this whole list, you've got so many names. Like Isla Dawn is on here, Matt Richards. Wow, Matt Richards. This was 8 hours ago when it was posted. He said, "This morning I made the decision to step down from both my roles in creative and as ring announcer at Progress. Quite openly and honestly, I've fallen out of love with wrestling." Wow. You've got Isla Dawn. I haven't named a single person or shared any of my experiences. And she shared a tweet with somebody saying, "Stop trying to ruin men's careers." Actually, this is a text picture. It says, "Stop trying to ruin men's careers. I wish the guys would start telling stories about you girls, making them feel uncomfortable." Number one on that one, I don't think there are any. And if there are, it's very few and far between. I mean, goodness gracious, the number of women that have came out here on Twitter basically to share their experiences and in wrestling. And I can't not respect that. I honestly can't. So, yeah, that's basically what's been going on with this entire situation. It's shocking. It is a bit horrifying if any of these are true, much less all of them. I mean, I'm not here to play kangaroo court. I'm not here to hang anyone or to drop the guillotine. I'm simply here to say that this situation definitely needs a look at, and I'm saying that because the culture of professional wrestling has needed and wanted to change for a long time. This is not the 1980s anymore. This is 2020. And you can't force people into anything. It doesn't work that way. And nor should it have ever worked that way, in my opinion. However, like I said with the cases of Rick Swann and Enzo, you got to be careful. You got to be careful about who you think is right and who's not in the right. Because there comes a point where you're going to be, the cards are not always going to fall the way you think they're going to fall. So, honestly, I'm just reading this stuff to you guys. I take no opinion here. It is way too early to take an opinion. Though Joey Janela may have been the first nail in the coffin of Jim Cornette, as he made the comment that he did about him back in March. So that, and Jim Cornette, he did respond, and basically his response, I almost don't even want to read it, because we all know how Jim Cornette talks, and he sat there. Let me see if I can find it. Because it's bad. Okay, so I found it. So he wrote this on Twitter this morning. "Morning all. I know how my name has been involved in everything because it gets attention, but I'm too busy running a pizza parlor from my basement out of my..." I'm not even going to say that word. Let's just say it starts with the E, with a P, and ends with aisle, and I think you understand what that word is. "Ring to make any Twitter goofs, and there's 700 fake accounts famous today. Helpful hint, I've been told that when you're faking screenshots of something that happened years ago, you should use that person's profile picture that's only been up a week and a half. It's the little things, but that's for the attorneys to discuss." It does seem like Jim Cornette might be taking legal action against those that are coming after him. If that's the case, then again, it's where the chips fall. And it's how true is this? Because if it's about when he was in OVW, why haven't we heard Miz speak up, or Ziggler speak up, or Morrison speak up, or any of those people like Lesnar and Cena and Batista? Like, Batista's got nothing to lose anyway. He's already a Hall of Famer, and he's a movie star. He doesn't need WWE. But we all know he was in OVW, so just speak up if it's true. Or even if it's not true. So, but for those guys that were in OVW, I mean, you may not like Cornette, but if this isn't true, come on, guys, just speak up. If it is true, that's not good for Jim Cornette, like, at all, because So, now, I'm going to read, I think, one more that is related to this. Here we go. So, Pete Dunne and Kid Cash have spoken out against allegations and want safe environments for everyone. So, Kid Cash put this out on the 20th. He said, "Let's make wrestling safe now," in all caps. "Every wrestling school must," in all caps, "have at least one female teacher. Every," in all caps, "show must," in all caps, "have male and female separated," in all caps, "changing rooms. Anyone who has to ride home or is staying in a hotel for a show must," in all caps, "be protected by promotion and promoter. It's not hard." This was put out at 2:57 a.m. on June 20th and got 2,280 likes. Pete Dunne said, "I have noticed a few posts about appointing leaders, whether it be myself and a few people that I'm not familiar with. They're probably British. Anytime there's been an attempt at change, it's been held back by individuals in charge. We need people who can push to a point where there's safety measures in place." This was put out at 7:13 a.m. on June 20th and got 1,528 likes. Folks, this is what it is. This is people who are pushing back against basically the old ways of doing things. And people were just supposed to take it. Now, do I think that, and again, I'm glad that these two want to change the tone of what professional wrestling has become, because that's good. Let's continue to make equal rights, because that is what we need. The problem is that there's a lot of the old guard still around. And the old guard and the new guard are not going to agree. I mean, perfect example, look at Seth Rollins and Jim Cornette, and what Jim Cornette said about Seth Rollins' wife, Becky Lynch, in case you didn't know. I'd have been hurt too. And if I was Seth Rollins, I'd have done a lot more than said I was disappointed in Jim Cornette. I would have buried him. But that's another story for another time. Honestly, the situation, I think the floodgates are about to open. I don't think this is over. Do I think everyone is guilty? No. Do I think there are some that could be guilty? Absolutely. And that's the only thing I'm really going to say. Because again, I am not the one to be judge, jury, and executioner here. I'm the one to just deliver the news. And that's what this is. It is big news on both fronts. Although the C-19 thing, I'm going to tell you, WWE does not look very good there. I mean, that is not good. As far as this and the speaking out, I'm glad it's happening. It needed to happen. And as far as the wrestlers who have been accused, I think we will find out who's been good and who's been bad. I mean, soon enough, these things will be seen. So I don't think that people are going to be able to run from this anymore in the professional wrestling scene. I think when you've got really, really big, people like CBR and Sports Illustrated and ESPN covering this, not to mention Pro Wrestling Observer and Pro Wrestling Insider, you're not running from that situation. It's hit you slam in the face. It's up to wrestling promotions to be better and to make sure these things don't happen. So, I mean, that's all I can really say. And I hope for those that have spoken out, I wish the best for all of you. I do. And no one ever wants to be taken advantage of. No one ever wants to be the one that's used. And really, out of appropriateness, that's all I'm really going to say. And again, like I said, I'm not here to say there's a right or a wrong. Because we've seen the women that felt powerless and came out with the Me Too movement. We also saw what happened to Rick Swann and Enzo Amore, and that seemed more like revenge than, people coming out. So let's see where this goes, because this could all be a house of cards ready to tumble, or this could be a movement ready to change wrestling. So let's see where this goes. At this point, I don't really have too much more to say other than I will be having surgery on Wednesday. So you most likely will not see me for a while once this gets up. So for all of you guys, hope for the best. And I am Gary Supreme for Sacktown Slam, and I am signing off.